So today's topic would be on calculation of heart rate and calculation of axis. It's a quick recap of what we saw in the past 2 days. Okay. So we saw about the ECG paper. Quickly we'll go through that. We see the electrical activity that is measured in two things. One, we measure the time. One is the amplitude. Time is the speed of the paper is 25 millimeter per second. So making one small box as 0.04 seconds, and normally the millimeter is 10 millimeters equal to 1 millivolt. This is called as a normal standardization. Okay, so we can have alterations in the standardization, which is this is the normal standardization. So this amplitude, you see, amplitude is half. Okay, and here the amplitude is double. Okay, so we can use these half amplitude whenever there is the QRS complexes are very large. So there is going to be intermingling of the QRS complexes, so we can't see one from the other. So that time you can use half standardization. So the amplitude, overall amplitude reduces. So that time we can see the this one better. That's all. Okay. And if the QRS complexes are very small, we can use this to amplify that. Okay. So how to identify lead reversal? So yesterday we saw you look at lead 1 to recognize an arm lead reversal. And whenever you have a straight line in 2, 3, so that means there is a leg lead reversal. So this is how we said. So here you see lead AVR is positive. The P wave in AVR is positive. However, the R wave progression is completely normal. Okay. So this is called as left arm right arm reversal, or also called as technical dextrocardia. Okay. So whenever I have a pseudo asystole pattern in lead 2 or 3, that means there is a lower limb lead reversal. Okay. So coming to the rhythm. So this is very important. So how do we calculate, or how do we assess the rhythm? Okay. So when I come to the example, I'll tell you what is a normal sinus rhythm, because it is very important to define what is a normal sinus rhythm. Okay. So the first thing you see when you want to look at the rhythm is you want to see whether the whole ECG or the electrical activity is regular or irregular. Okay. So we want to know whether the activity is regular or irregular. Okay. So how do we assess regularity? We compare the RR intervals. So the RR interval should be constant across the ECG. Up to 2 to 3 small squares variation is normal. But other than that, you should not have. Okay. So if it is irregular, you look whether it is regularly irregular or irregularly irregular. And you should look for P waves. So we'll see how to do that. Okay. So once you determine the regularity, we have to calculate the heart rate. Okay. So we saw the formula. Yesterday. So how do we calculate the heart rate? So we use the large box method, which is 300 divided by the number of large squares, or we can use 1500 divided by the number of small squares. These are commonly used. Okay. There is something called as a cardiac ruler. Okay. So if you can put the ruler on one QRS complex, and whereas the next QRS complex, you get the approximate heart rate. Okay, but it is not required that you should always buy a cardiac ruler and then use it routinely. You can use these two methods, which are good enough, 300 and 1500. Yesterday I told you one more mnemonic also. Remember those values: 300, 150, 100, 75 and 60. Okay, so here we'll combine all the previous two slides. Okay, so the first thing here is, so we look at the lead AVR. So AVR is negative. So that means there is an electrical activity, atrial activity going away from lead AVR. Okay, that is first thing. Then we look at the P wave in lead 2 and lead 1. So both are positive, and it is negative in AVR. This means that the SA node is the cause of the atrial activity here, because the heart rate is somehow almost normal. It is less than 100. Okay. And one more thing is, we all are taught that every P wave, if it is followed by a QRS, it is called as normal sinus rhythm. But think whether it is really true. Because, so what does it indicate? So that means that every P wave that I'm generating, is getting conducted to the ventricle and generating a QRS. That means the atria is to ventricle. Atria is to ventricle conduction. What we routinely call as AV conduction is 1:1. That means every wave that is generated in the atria is getting conducted to the ventricle. That is all this thing tells us. It doesn't tell whether it is sinus, non-sinus, nothing. So we say sinus versus non-sinus based on the morphology of P wave. So the P wave morphology is normal, positive in lead 1 and 2 and negative in AVR. Okay, and commonly this should be conducted also. Okay, but it is not 100% required. Okay, so that is a normal sinus rhythm. So once you say the rhythm is sinus, so then we say regular versus irregular. So for that, what you do is you take one, you mark a point on one QRS complex and mark one more point on another QRS complex. Okay, so what is ideally is to be done is, so you count the number of boxes. So here it is 1, 2, 3. So there is 3 large box with 1 small box. So you compare it here also. So I have here 2, 2.5, 3, 3 plus 1. So exactly 3.5 here. So I compare this RR interval that is there. Okay, more or less it is almost equal, this RR interval. Okay, so if it is equal, then I say it is regular. So if the RR interval is almost equal among all the QRS complexes, then we say it is regular. If it is regular, so you can use the formula. So use the formula, you get 300 divided by the large boxes. So how many large boxes are there? So let's say 1, 2, 3. So approximately 3. So approximately it is 100, but it should be less than 100. Reason being, you see, if I take this point here, so from here 1, 2 and 3, if it would have fallen exactly here, it would be 100. So this is a little less than 100. So somewhere around 80 to 90 the heart rate will be. Okay, so this is one way of calculating the heart rate. If you want to be very particular, so you can use 1500 and divide it by the number of small squares. So if I use 1500 and divide it by the number of small squares, I'll get one more value which will be exactly accurate. But the thing is, we always think of the clinical setting in which this is happening. You can use any lead to calculate the heart rate. So someone has asked me, can you use any lead? Yes, because the same electrical activity is depicted in all the leads. Most commonly we use lead 2 because we get very good complexes in lead 2. Otherwise, you can use any lead to calculate heart rate. Routinely lead 2 is used. Okay. Yeah. So can someone calculate this? So can someone calculate the heart rate here? So tell me whether this is first whether it is sinus or not, and then tell me whether it is regular or not, and then tell me what is the heart rate. 3 things, 1, 2 and 3. You can put it that way. Now, why lead 2 is given below? Because lead 2 is also called as a rhythm lead, because you see the net axis of the entire heart is going to be in that direction. When we see axis, we'll come there. So the entire activity of all the atria and the ventricle is almost directed towards lead 2. So this gives lead 2 an advantage of showing almost all the electrical activities. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Coming back to this one here. Okay, so I'll start with the interpretation. Okay, so I see the P waves are upright in 1 and 2 with negative P waves in AVR. So I have a normal sinus rhythm with 1:1 AV conduction with we'll come to the axis. Axis is a right axis deviation. Okay, so then I come to the heart rate. So here it is 300, 150, 100, 75, 60. So around 60 beats per minute, a little more than 60, maybe 62, 64 it might come up to. Okay, so you see almost same. A little variation is there. That is okay, that is accepted. Because when we inspire, the heart rate will increase. When we expire, the heart rate will reduce. This is called a sinus arrhythmia. That can be normal, so that is why this can be taken as normal. Yeah, I'll tell you how to calculate axis deviation. I'm coming to that later. Yeah. So this patient, you see, you should also see for the PR intervals. Now here the PR interval, the P wave is ending here and there is no PR interval that is seen. Instead you get a wave like this. So this wave is called as, anyone can tell me what this wave is called? Can anyone tell me what this wave is called? And then we have a QRS, yeah. Let's see if anyone can tell. Yes, yes, good, 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 good. It's called as delta wave, yes. This is called as delta wave. This is called as delta wave seen in WPW pattern. If this patient has some symptoms, then we call it as WPW syndrome. Okay, clear? Fine. So we got the heart rate. So we said it is sinus or non-sinus. So now the question comes, what to do if the heart rate is irregular? So if the rhythm is irregular, that time how to calculate heart rate? Which wave? Okay, yeah. You want me to go to the previous slide? Yeah, this wave here, you're seeing here, you're seeing a notching here, you're seeing a slurring here. Here you see there is a slurring here. See here, there is a slurring here. So here you see there is a slurring followed by a QRS like this. So you don't expect this to happen. There's an abrupt takeoff here. Okay. So when I come to WPW, maybe I'll spend some time telling you why this happens. It is simple. It is just that this is the atria, this is the ventricle. So if I'm taking this as my ventricle, so the abrupt communication is directly going and activating the muscle. It is not in the conduction system. So if it is in the muscle has a slower conduction. So if it is slow, that means it widens. Okay. Yeah. That is why you get a initial that slurring. Yeah. Yes, yes. Abnormal communication from the atria to the ventricle. That is why the PR interval is shortened. Okay. So now, if the heart rate is irregular, if the rhythm is irregular, so that time what to do? So what is the idea is we need to get 1 minute's activity. So the total activity that I should be determining is for 1 minute, correct? So if I calculate, let's say for 3 seconds, if I calculate for 3 seconds, what is the value I must multiply by? If I multiply 3 by 20, so I get 60 seconds. So, or if I calculate the number of QRS complexes in 6 seconds, I have to multiply it by 10 to get a 1 minute value. Okay, so reason why we multiply 10 and 20 is because of this, because I should get for 1 whole minute. And we count the number of QRS because QRS represents the ventricular activity or the exact heart rate what is there. Okay, so here you see. So here you see the RR is only so much, then there's RR is widened, then this is more wide, this is a little less, this is a little lesser, again wide, again narrow. So this is completely irregular, irregularly irregular. Okay. So then I'll take it from here. So I'll take from here. So for 3 seconds I should count. Okay. For 3 seconds. So if it is for 3 seconds means how many boxes I should count? One large box is 0.2. So 0.2 into what I'll get? 3. So I should count 15 squares. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So it ends here. Okay. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. If I take here, so it is 5 QRS complexes. I multiply this by 20. Okay, so I get it as 100, around 100. Exact heart rate you can't tell because it is variable. It is not beating at a constant rate. It will be variable. Yeah, 15 boxes. Good, good, good. So you got the answer 100. You understood how we got 100? Counting of the boxes, is it? Repeat the counting. Okay, yeah, fine. See, the logic is I should count for 60 seconds. Okay. So here, one box here, if I take this one box is how many seconds? 0.2. 0.2 seconds. Because each small box is 0.04. I multiply it by 5, I get 0.2. So if I take it from here, okay. So if I should get for 3 seconds. If I should get for 3 seconds, so if I multiply this one box by 15, so then I'll get 30. So it will become 3 seconds. So I'll count the QRS complexes or ventricular activity in 15 boxes. Okay. So from here, if I count 15, it ends here. So I calculate the number of QRS complexes, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So I got 5 QRS complexes. So I multiply this 5 by 20. Why 20? Because this whole thing was in 3 seconds. I got 5 boxes in 3 seconds. So I should calculate for 60 seconds. So I multiply this, I get 100. Okay. This is clear how to calculate. Yeah. You can use this method for regular. No, we don't use this for regular because regular you have the formula already, 300 divided by the RR interval. So that will make it simpler. Okay. Fine, you got this. How do we calculate 100? How we arrived at 100? Yeah. We'll proceed next. Yeah, we'll proceed next. Okay. So until now, the heart rate calculation is clear for everyone, no? Heart rate is correct, clear for everyone? Yeah, fine. I'll proceed next. Okay. We'll come to a very important concept called as axis. Okay. So to calculate what is the axis, axis is the net current direction. What do you mean by net is a sum of both positive and negative. Okay, sum of both positive and negative is called as a net electrical activity. Okay, so remember this concept that I told you. Okay, that's one question. You want me to repeat why you multiply by 20? Okay, see. So I am counting for 3 seconds, correct? Okay, but I need it for 60 seconds, which is 1 minute, correct? So this is going to be for 1 minute. I want to get electrical activity for 1 minute. Okay, so I have counted this value. Okay, I know this is going to be 60 because I want it for 60 seconds. So by what value if I multiply, I get 60, 20. Yeah. Clear now, Ashray? Okay, I hope this is clear now. Okay, we'll proceed. So whenever I have a positive deflection coming towards me, whenever I have a positive charge coming towards me, I get a positive deflection. Whenever a positive charge is going away from me, I get a negative deflection. It's like you think that whenever you're happy, so you have a positive charge. So whenever that positive charge is going to leave you, you become negative or you feel sad. Okay. So whenever this lead is placed perpendicular, this is very important. Whenever this lead is placed perpendicular, I get a biphasic complex. So this is very important to understand. Okay. So why is it biphasic? Is initially when it comes here, until here when it comes, it becomes as a positive deflection. And from here when it leaves, it acts as a negative deflection. So you get a biphasic complex. Okay. Fine. So if that is clear, I'll go. So every time only 20. If you count for 3 seconds, you multiply by 20. If you count by 6 seconds, you multiply by 10. Okay. Yeah, you can use any seconds. So you can count for any number of seconds and multiply it by a corresponding value to get 60. Okay. So this is the orientation of the leads. So one is the precordial leads placed in the horizontal plane and this is in the frontal plane. Okay. So now you see here lead 1 is in this direction, lead AVF is in this direction, this is AVF, this is lead 2 in this direction, okay, and we have lead AVL in this direction. So if I superimpose all this, so you see here this is lead AVL, this is lead 1, this is lead 2, this is lead AVF, this is going to be lead 3. Okay, so here you see if this is my heart, these are being in the lower surface of the heart. From below they are seeing the heart. So this is called as inferior lead. So these are called as inferior leads. Okay, and these leads are seeing the heart from a lateral surface. So they are called as lateral leads. So they are called as lateral leads. Okay, both V5, V6, 1 and AVL. Okay, they are called as lateral leads. And V1, V2 is called as a septal lead. V3, V4 is called as anterior lead. Okay, so yesterday we had seen all this. So why I am telling this is to understand the orientation. So now if I'm going to get a net activity, so what is the net activity? So from here, the heart is going to be directed in this direction only. So I'm going to check only for the QRS. So QRS axis we'll calculate. That means in which direction the QRS complex is moving. So the first part was negative. Then we saw the R wave that was formed, and then the S wave that was formed. That's why we got a Q wave, we got an R wave, and we got an S wave. So here there are two negative waves and one positive wave. So net direction, in what direction it is moving, that becomes the axis. Okay. So we'll see in what direction normally it will move. Okay. So for the head, just imagine the heart is here. Okay, a small heart. Okay. So now this is going to be which lead? Can you tell me what is this lead? I'm going to mark here. Here. This is going to be lead 1. This is only in the horizontal, in the frontal plane. Yeah. This is going to be, this point is going to be, yes, good. This is going to be lead AVF. Yeah. This is going to be lead AVF. Good. Okay. So can someone tell me what is this going to be then? This will be, this part here will be, exact opposite of this. No? So whenever we had a vector in school, when you remember, so this was the charge and this was the direction. So magnitude and direction. So if I had to resolve a vector, I had to change it. So if I change it in this direction, I add a opposite charge. So if it was positive, it becomes negative. Correct? So here it becomes minus AVF. Correct? So this becomes minus AVF. Clear? Okay. So this becomes minus AV1, minus lead 1. Correct? Yeah. Good. So this is lead 1 and this is going to be lead AVF. Okay. So to calculate axis, we'll take two perpendicular leads. Okay. So most commonly most people uses lead 1 and lead AVF. Lead 1 and lead AVF we'll take. Okay. So now we'll see what is the net direction. Net direction of the QRS. Okay, so we'll add and we'll subtract and we'll see. So let's say, so in this quadrant, so we'll divide this whole thing into quadrant, okay, so that it becomes easier. So what will be the coordinates? So one will be the x-axis, one will be the y-axis, correct? So here x-axis is positive, y-axis is negative, correct? You understood this? This you understood? X-axis is in this direction, which is positive, y-axis negative. So you tell me here. So in this quadrant, you tell me. For this quadrant, you tell me. Just put plus, plus, minus, 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 plus. You can put that way. So it becomes easier. Okay. So x-axis is positive, y-axis is also positive. Correct? Good. Now you tell me here. For this, you tell me. X-axis, y-axis. Yeah, minus and plus. Good. This is plus, no? This is the direction. So this is my y-axis, positive. So for this, you tell me, no? Only one is remaining. Minus. Okay. Very good. You all have understood. Yes. Okay. So now, so that means that if the lead 1 and lead AVF is positive, that means the activity is going to be in this plane. Okay. So if lead 1 is positive and AVF is negative, that means this is the direction of the axis. If lead 1 is negative and lead AVF is positive, this is the direction. And if this is there, this is the direction. Correct? So this is clear? This concept you understood? So why I made you plot this? Okay. So now if you have understood this, we'll go to the next concept. So here you tell me what is the axis. So normal axis is minus 30 to 90. Okay. For now, think as 0 to 90. We'll add that further. Okay. So now think here. So don't see the axis. So you tell me here. So lead 1 is positive. Okay. So here you imagine the same thing here. Okay. So let's imagine the same diagram here. And let's draw this one. So I'll draw the quadrant. I'll just name the quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. So you see this and tell me in what quadrant is my net electrical activity present in. In which quadrant it is in? This is 1. This is 2, 3, and 4. Okay. So think. Think and tell me. Okay. Sorry. 1 and 4. Okay. 4. Okay, 4. Everyone says 4. Good. Everyone is correct. Good. So very simple. So we saw. So you see lead. So you see lead 1. So lead 1 is net is positive. So that means it is either here or here. Okay. You saw lead AVF. So AVF is, where is it positive? It is positive here. So that means it is going to be in this lead. Okay. So this is normal axis. Okay. So if this is the normal axis, I'll add one more point here. Okay. So if I'm going away from this, so if I'm going in this direction, so this is to the left of it. So this is called as left axis deviation. If I move in this direction, it is to the right of this. So I call this as right axis deviation. Okay, with respect to the normal axis, this is the left, this is the right. This is called as right axis. So this is called as extreme axis deviation. Okay, you understood now? Left axis, right axis, and extreme axis. Okay, very simple. Now we'll go and see how to identify now. Theoretically, very good. So the same thing. So commonly I use lead 1 and AVF. You can use lead 2 and AVL or 3 and AVF. Okay, you can use any of the leads. Commonly lead 1 and AVF is used. The same concept will apply for everything. Okay, so this is what I said. Calculate the net QRS in lead 1 and lead AVF. Plot them imaginary on the ECG paper. You draw perpendiculars and point of intersection will create a resulting vector. Okay, we'll come to this isoelectric lead method. If you don't remember also, it's okay. Okay. So now we'll take this ECG only, the first ECG that we had. Okay. So here you tell me now, what is the axis? Is it right? Is it left? Or is it normal? Okay. Tell me now. Let's see lead 1. You see lead AVF and you tell me. So someone says normal, someone says right. Okay. This is only 2. Okay. This is only 2 small squares. This is around 3. So you can take this as net minus 1. That may not be very clear. That's why I'm telling you this. So this is minus 1. Yeah. Okay. Good. Very good. Okay. Anyone with any other answer? Everyone agrees it is okay. You're getting confused. Yeah. Very good. Yeah. Left leaves, right reaches. I'll come to it. How right or left? Okay. So you tell me in which quadrant it is. So you tell me in which quadrant it is going to be. We'll see about the axis samele. So you tell me in which quadrant it is going to be. One second. Yeah. I'm waiting for Arjun and Sana. Yeah. It's in lead. You take this as negative, Himanshu. So you assume that this lead 1 is negative. Yeah. Let me wait for them. Now you tell me in which quadrant this is going to be. Yeah. So you see here lead 1. So this is going to be the direction of lead 1. So you see here lead 1 is negative. So if lead 1 is negative, that means here or here. Okay. Then the next thing is you see is AVF. So AVF is positive. That means here. Okay. So this is the direction. So this is the direction where the axis is. Okay. Now you understood. So this is the direction where it is. Okay. So to consider the lead as negative or positive, we have to subtract the amplitude. Yes. So what do I mean by net QRS is? So here you see there is, you take this, I told you, as 2. That means there was plus 2 in the R wave and minus 4 in the S wave. So that means you got a negative deflection of minus 2. Okay. So here you see there is no S wave or Q wave. So this is only a positive R wave. Okay. So if you take here it is just minus 4 because there is no positive wave. It is only a negative wave. Okay. So that's what I meant. We have to take a net vector. So net QRS you should take. Okay. Clear? How lead 1 is negative? Yeah. Lead 1 is negative, meaning I'm going to calculate the net activity here. Okay. So this is a little not clear. That is why I took this the other way. Okay. So for this you calculate. We'll see. Now it will become clear. So now you see lead 1. I didn't get your question, Vidya. Can I just check for the highest vector whether positive or negative? I didn't get you. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you see here, I'm going to calculate the net vector. That means, you see there is positive deflection of plus 3 here. Okay, this is plus 3. And let's say this is minus 1. So that means net is plus 2. Net is plus 2. Okay. And in AVF, you see, let's say this we are just giving, what is 3 there? It is the amplitude. Number of boxes I'm counting here. So this is the R wave, let us assume. So here the number of boxes, there is 3. Yeah. Now you got it? Yeah. So here it is plus 3, here it is minus 1. Because one small negative wave is there, I'm going to subtract it from the total. Here, let's say there is one small negative wave here. So I'm giving minus 1. Then there is a very good positive wave. Let's say 5 plus 3, 8. Okay, so plus 8. So the net is plus 7. Okay. So now you think of that quadrant only. So here lead 1 is going to be positive. So that means either here or here. Correct. So now the next thing you see is lead AVF is positive. If lead AVF is positive, it will be positive only in this direction. That means the entire QRS is being in this direction. So this is the direction where the QRS complex is moving in. Okay. Okay. So this is normal axis. Okay, not LED. It's a normal axis. Now, if this is normal, so if I get an axis here in this direction, okay, that means this is to the left of this. So think that you are standing here. So in this direction, you are facing this direction and standing. So to your left, this is the axis. So that means if the axis is in this direction, this is called as left axis. And this will be right axis. Okay. So this will be the right axis deviation. Clear? Okay. So someone will help me fill it up now. Okay. We'll quickly see this. That's all. Once you know this, that's it. Axis is very simple. So you tell me what is the lead that is going to be here. Can net vector be 0? Yeah, it can be 0. So if it is 0, that means what is it meaning? That it is in this direction. It is exactly along lead 1. So that is why you get 0 or 180 here. Correct? Yeah. Can you show me the normal axis? So this is the normal axis. So anything in fourth quadrant is normal. Yeah. It is just a name. That's all. I just numbered it as 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So that you understand where is this one. So if it is coming here, it is going to be normal. So if it comes here, this is to the right of this, no? So imagine that you are standing in this direction. So you are facing here. Okay. Normally you are supposed to face here. So you are going to see in this direction. Okay. So suppose if it is going here, that means any reason why it's called normal axis? Yeah. The reason why it's called normal axis is because the net direction of the entire QRS, the net direction of the current is going to be in this direction. That is why it is called as normal. So normally it is going to be in this. Yeah. Yeah, I'll come to that minus 30 to 90. I didn't add that. Okay. No, first we'll understand how to calculate the axis. What do I mean by right and left? I'll come to the significance of each. You just give me some time. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So now someone had asked me, pointer. So this is going to be the direction. So this is in this plane. In this plane, the axis of the QRS will lie. So let's say I had a condition. Let's say I had a severe LVH. Okay, severe LVH. So that means the muscle here is going to hypertrophy. If the muscle here is going to hypertrophy, the direction will be in this direction. It will be more towards that side. Okay, so if it is going to be more towards that side, then so imagine you are standing here. Okay, imagine you are standing here. So if you are standing here, okay, so this is to the left of you. That is why you call it as left axis deviation. The electrical activity is to the left of you. Normally it should be here, but then this is the direction where it is in. So it is to the left of you. So this is called as left axis deviation. So if it is in this direction, that means it is to your right. So we call this as right axis deviation. Now we are clear. What do you mean by left axis and right axis? Okay. Is everyone clear with this? Yeah. I just made the quadrant so that you are able to understand where is the activity coming. So now if I add that there is a left axis and right axis, you are clear now. Okay. So we will proceed now. Okay. So if this much you have understood, I'm very happy. I'll come to the clinical implications. Yeah. I'll come to the clinical implications. Yeah. Another 10 minutes I'll take. Okay. Yeah. So that is what is given here. You see, minus 30. This diagram I want you to remember. That diagram I drew to make you guys understand. Okay, this is the diagram you should remember. So minus 30 to 90. Minus 30 to 90 is the physiologic axis. Physiologic axis. Okay. Okay. Then this is the right axis. This is the left axis. So now, so you see lead 1 here. Okay. You see lead 1 here. So we'll take here. Okay. So lead 1 is positive, lead AVF is negative. So let's say I'll superimpose lead 2 here. Okay. Let's say I'll superimpose lead AVF here. Sorry, lead AVF. So if I'm seeing from here, both are seeming to leave each other. So from here, both are seeming to leave each other. So left leaves. Left leaves. Okay. This is a mnemonic you can remember. Left axis, both will seem to leave each other. 1 and AVF are both in opposite directions. Okay. Yeah. So if you see the lead 1, no. So let's say you take left axis deviation. So here if you take lead 1 is positive, lead AVF is negative. So the same thing I've drawn. So lead 1 is positive, lead AVF is negative. This is lead AVF. I've just taken this and I've put it here. Okay. So from this point, if I see, both are going to leave each other. So from here, if I see, both are seeming to go away from each other or leaving each other. So that's why we call left as leaves. Left leaves. Okay. So exactly the opposite happens here. So you see here, R1 and AVF. So if you see 1 and AVF here, so here 1 is negative, AVF is positive. Okay, 1 is negative, AVF is positive. So that means both are seeming to come towards each other. So right reaches is the mnemonic. Both are reaching each other. So right reaches. Okay. Okay, fine. So this is the same thing I've shown. Okay, I'll come to the clinical implications now. So whenever I have an axis deviation, we'll have to look for a cause. Okay. So most common cause of a left axis deviation. Whenever you have a left axis deviation, start looking for these. How to look for all this? We'll come to the subsequent sessions. LVH, left bundle branch block. We saw here, no? Wolff Parkinson White. It can cause both a left axis and right axis. How was the deviation seen on ECG paper? Just now we saw, no? I drew the quadrant to make you understand. So we saw lead 1 and lead AVF. So based on that, we said whether it is positive or negative. We'll see some examples. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Wolff Parkinson White can cause both the left axis and right axis. Okay. So then there is extreme axis. Think of ventricular arrhythmias, or you can have dextrocardia also that can cause an extreme axis. And severe RVH, very rare, but it can cause. Okay. Hyperkalemia can cause any possible axis. It can mimic any possible thing. Okay. So whenever there is a right axis deviation, think of a severe RVH, or in COPD, the heart becomes more tubular. So you may shift it towards the right a little. Then hyperkalemia. So then I told you here, there can be a dextrocardia here. A Wolff Parkinson White. We saw just now, Wolff Parkinson White. That time had a right axis deviation. How LAG causes left axis deviation? I didn't get you. Someone has asked me how LAG causes LVF causes left axis deviation. Yeah, I'll tell you. Okay, fine. So we'll see some examples. I'll tell you at the end. Okay. So here you tell me what is the axis now. Okay. For now, we'll see only the axis. So here 1 is positive. So 1 is positive. And AVF is negative. So if AVF is negative, it should be here. And 1 is positive. So here. So here. Okay. Now I have a question. How to say whether it is a physiologic axis? Because I said you here, there can be a physiologic axis deviation here. Okay. So if it is physiological, there is no point in looking for other causes. But if it is pathologic, then it becomes significant. Okay. So for this, we will use something called as a equiphasic method. Okay. So I told you the same thing that time. So when I was telling you about whenever I get a biphasic complex, what does it mean? That means this lead is perpendicular to the electrical activity. If this is the electrical activity, this lead is placed here, perpendicular. Okay. So now let's say this is the direction of the axis. Okay. So now, if I say this is my lead 2, this is the direction of lead 2. I'm sure everyone agrees. Okay. This is the direction of lead 2. Correct. This is how the direction of lead 2 is plus 60 degree. Lead 2. We saw it there. Okay. Here you see, this is how lead 2 is. Lead 2 is plus 60 degree. Okay. So now, if this is going to be 60 degree, so then if this is the axis, or this is the direction in which the current is, that means this QRS, if the QRS in lead 2 is taken, it should be biphasic, correct? It should be biphasic, correct? Agreed? You all agree with this? You all agree with this? Yeah. So now let's say, yeah, good. Now let's say this was the direction of the vector. Okay. That means this is a pathologic axis deviation. If it is a pathologic axis deviation, so will it be completely biphasic, or will it be having a more negative component to it? So this lead is going more away from it. So that means this will have a more negative component. Yeah. More negative component. Yeah. Understood this? Understood this concept? Yeah. Correct. So this should be more negative. Yeah. Okay. So I'll explain this. Yeah. If you don't understand, it's okay, but try to understand. Okay. So this is going to be the normal direction of my. I'll use this diagram. My own diagram. So there. Yeah. So this is my normal axis. Correct. This is the direction of lead 2 also. Okay, so normal axis is also directed in this direction. That is why we prefer lead 2 for most of the calculations. So now let's say this was the direction of my axis. Two axes I'll draw. So one is this. Okay, so this whole thing is a physiologic axis. So this is the direction of minus 30. Okay, and let's say one more I draw. One more is, let's say, in this direction. Okay, just for example I'm giving, so that we'll understand. Okay, so now I said you that if this is the direction of current, and if I place a lead here perpendicular, if I place a lead perpendicular, I'll get a biphasic complex. Okay, so now this is the direction of the current, and this is the direction of my lead here. Okay, so that means this lead is perpendicular. This is lead 2. So lead 2 is perpendicular to this plane. Correct. So the first one. So I'll say this is let's say first one here. Okay. So now you agree that lead 2 is going to be perpendicular. Until now, is it clear? Until now, is it clear that this lead 2 is going to be perpendicular if this is the direction of, yeah, the direction is along lead AVL. No. The direction of current is normally along lead 2. This is for example, I'm saying. So here, this is the direction. So in this example, this is the direction. I'll show you here. Yeah, this is the direction. Okay. If this is the direction, lead 2 should be perpendicular, correct? Now, let's take this scenario 2. Okay. Now you tell me, will this be the same perpendicular, or the positive charge will be more, or it will become more negative? So let's say this is the direction. Okay. This is the direction. Okay. So it is going away. So it will be more negative. So it will be more negative. So the lead 2 will be more negative. Understood? Okay. This concept you have understood? So this is going to be more negative. Yeah. Good. Everyone good. Yeah. So that means this what I told you. So any electrical activity in this plane the QRS will be biphasic. But if it is more negative, that means it is in the pathologic axis deviation. So to distinguish between a pathologic and physiologic axis, I use lead 2. So that is why this method was called as quadrant plus lead 2 method. See, quadrant plus lead 2. So you see the normal axis resides between plus 90 to minus 30. So when lead 1 is positive, why can't it be more positive? Huh? Current is leaving away, no? See, this was the normal axis. This was the physiological. Yeah, you got it, no? Yeah. So if this is the axis, then this should be away. Yeah. Got. Good. You got that, no? Everyone got this? How to distinguish pathologic from a physiologic left axis? To distinguish that, you'll use lead 2. So you see here also. You see lead 2 is positive. Yeah, you can use lead 2. Yeah. How do you know it's more or less negative? More or less negative is based on the same thing. The amplitude, the net QRS. When I say more positive, less positive, everything is with respect to the net QRS, because we are looking at only the net QRS here. Okay, so we'll see one example. Yeah, we'll solve this. So you tell me now. So lead 1 is positive, lead AVF is negative. So that means here is lead AVF. This is lead 1. So both are positive. So it should be in this quadrant. Now whether it is physiologic left axis or pathologic left axis, how to tell? So count the net QRS. So these are net QRS. So net QRS here is negative. Okay. Yeah. Okay, fine. You understood this, no? Fine. Now you tell me for this. Now you tell me for this. Yeah, I'll repeat. Yeah. This one you understood how to distinguish between physiologic and pathologic axis deviation? Left axis? You understood what I was telling you? Someone has asked. Where is lead AVF? Yeah, this is lead AVF. Conventionally, this is 1, 2, and 3. This is AVR, AVL, and AVF. This is AVF. This is AVF. So it is like this usually. This is how we do. Yeah. So here, 1 is negative. Okay, so 1 is negative. So if 1 is negative, where is it going to come? So imagine this quadrant. You can make it imaginary. So 1 is going to be negative. So either here or here. So then you see the net QRS. So the net QRS is a little positive in lead AVF. So that means it is going to come here. Okay. So this is right axis deviation. Very good. Most of you have got it. Yeah. Almost everyone has got it. Very good. So this is right axis deviation. Okay. So that's all for today. Any doubts on anything I told you? I'm done for today. Only practice questions now. Can we take another 10 minutes? Can we take another 10 minutes? Yeah, fine. Yeah. Okay. Fine. Okay. So until now, everything is clear, guys. So today we saw only two things. One was calculation of heart rate. So if it is regular, I'll summarize it for you guys. You want me to repeat what is sinus rhythm? Okay. A normal sinus rhythm is heart rate for irregular rhythm. Okay. So you want me to repeat heart rate for irregular rhythm. Fine. So this is how you calculate for irregular rhythm. So you count the number of QRS complexes. Yeah, pathologic LAD once more. Okay. Okay, I'll come to that. Yeah. So for heart rate of 3 seconds, can we directly take 15 seconds box? Yeah, you have to take directly 15 box. Yeah. Yeah, when it is irregular, it will come. The reason why we take this is because it is varying at multiple points. So if I take the normal this one, it will come wrong. So let's say this is one example. See here you got. Okay. So let's say I took only between this two. So I'll say it is 100. Let's say it is 150. I'll tell it as 150. So then if I take here, so if I take between these two, I'll say it is 300, 150, 175, 60. So I'll call it as 60. But then is it 60 or is it 100? No. So that's why we take an average of around so much. We want to calculate around how much it is. We can't calculate the exact one. It will be only around approximately. Okay, fine. So now what we do is we have to calculate for 3 seconds. 3 seconds means 15 big boxes. So 15 big boxes, if I calculate, I'll get that for 3 seconds. So if I multiply this by 20, if I multiply this whole thing by 20, I'll get 60 seconds. 3 seconds into 20 is 60, correct? So that is why this 20 came. So let's say you calculated for 6 seconds. So you counted for 6 seconds. That means you counted 30 boxes, 30 large boxes you counted QRS complex. So you get for 6 seconds. By what value I'll multiply now? Yeah, okay. Yeah, you should multiply by 10. Very good. That's all. So you multiply by 10. So you get 60. Correct? That's all. Simple. So you got it now? Irregular heart rate calculation. Someone had asked. I don't know who asked. Yeah. Fine. Yeah. good, 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 good. So someone else had asked some other doubt. Yeah, okay, okay. Just let me look through the doubts. Okay. Someone asked for pathologic left axis. Okay, fine. You are clear with how to identify left axis, right axis. So if you are clear with that, you see here. I'll explain in this diagram only. So this is physiologic left axis. Okay. So now let's take lead 2. Okay. So this is direction of lead 2. So from this point, this lead 2 should be normally perpendicular. If this is going to be my axis, so if this is the direction, let's say this is the exact direction in which the QRS is. Okay. So that means I'll get lead 2 should be perpendicular. Okay. So let's say one more example. Wherein this is the direction of my QRS. This is the net direction. So that means, so now you expect that this QRS here should be same like this perpendicular, or because it is leaving a little away, so you should get more negative deflection. So what is right axis with respect to lead 2? Yeah, if it comes here, it is right axis. What is indeterminate axis? This is indeterminate axis. When you have both are negative, both 1 and AVF is negative, then you get an indeterminate axis. Yeah, so it should be more negative. Yeah, this should be more negative, correct? What asked this doubt? I don't know. Someone had asked me to repeat this one. Yeah. Pathologic. Yeah. Is it there? I don't know. Fine. So I'm repeating. Yeah, you got it, no? So this should be more negative. So that means it should be more negative. So that is what is shown here. You see here. Very simple. You see here. This is the pathologic axis deviation. See, lead 2 is more negative. Okay. Here you see lead 2 is almost, the V1 is positive. Ideally it will be biphasic. Or if it is somewhere in this direction, let's say it is like this exactly. So that means it will be more positive than negative. Okay. Okay, fine. So this is all clear. Fine. So this is what we saw today. Cause of axis deviation. We saw how to calculate heart rate. That's all we did for today. Correlate deviation with anatomy. Okay, fine. I'll do that. Okay, fine. So yeah, we'll start. So you tell me, in this I just want only two things. I want the heart rate, and I want the axis. Okay, I think that much will be sufficient. Cause of the heart rate and cause of the axis, we'll see. If you can identify, well and good. Even if you can't, no problem. Because that is that is not what we discussed today. That's why I don't. It's okay even if you can't tell that. Yeah. So is it pathologic if the net axis is in the third quadrant? Yeah, pathologic. Whenever you have an right axis or left axis pathological, it is pathological. There is a subsequent cause. Okay. Yeah. So now you tell me here. I have roughly it will be around 100. Yeah. So it is 300, 150, 100, around 100. Okay. Agreed. So you see here you can see very well. So 300, 150, around 100. Okay. Good. So most of you have told 100. Before that, you see it is normal sinus. Someone asked me to repeat what is normal sinus rhythm. If it is normal sinus rhythm, this is the P wave that is going to fire. So the net direction of the P wave is in this direction. So the P wave is going to be positive. This is the lead 2. So lead 2 will be positive, lead 1 will be positive, and AVR is going to see this activity going away from it. So this is going to be negative. That is normal sinus rhythm. So 100 degree, the 100 and the axis is right axis. Everyone agrees? Right axis. Yeah, good. So one is negative, AVF is positive. So both are trying to reach each other. So right reaches. So now what is the cause? So whenever you have that, you should look for a cause usually. So the cause is, you see a P waves here, along with the first component of the P wave is peaked. So that means, what does it indicate? The first component is peaked. What does it indicate? RA enlargement or LA enlargement? The first part of the, yeah, right atrial enlargement. Yes, good. So there is RAH also. Along with that, this is positive here. So that is, there is an RVH also. There is an RVH with an RA enlargement. Okay. So this might be some pulmonary hypertension or something like that. Okay, so these were the important findings. So I said this is normal sinus, then the RA enlargement with a RVH. Okay. Even if you say, why not tall T wave? So hyperkalemia. No, T wave is not tall. This is P wave. This is P wave. This is P. P, QRS, and T. T wave is not tall. This is P wave again. Yeah. Okay. Fine. Yeah. This you tell me. This I think we did already, but still, let's see. What do you want me to repeat? RVH. No, it's okay if you don't get RVH. It's fine. We'll come to that in the subsequent. We have one class, maybe tomorrow I'll take on only to diagnose hypertrophy. So that time I'll tell you how to diagnose RVH. The R wave, you see, initially we said that the R wave, no? So someone has asked, I'll just clear that now only. So we said that the R wave from V1 to V6, the R wave should progressively increase and the S wave should reduce. So initially there will be only a small R and a deep S, normally in normal conditions. So here you see the R wave is bigger than the S wave. So we say that the R by S ratio is more than 1. Just some fancy definition. It is just that the R wave is tall. If the R wave is tall, that means the RV forces are dominant. So there is probable RVH here. Okay. So we'll come to the significance of types of RVH, how to diagnose, all that will come tomorrow. Okay. Yeah. Okay, fine. Yeah, this you tell me. Think and tell me. That time I told it was pathological. Think and tell me. Everyone agrees pathological. No? Should not agree this because I agreed. Let's see if anyone differs. Yeah. So what is the heart rate? The heart rate is and 100 around 75. Correct. Everyone has told around 75 beats per minute. Okay. So then what I have is, you see, I saw lead 1, I saw lead AVF. So both are seeming to leave each other. So left leaves. So there is a left axis. Now it is pathological or physiological. So you see here, there is a positive wave here. Let's say it is around 2 plus. There is one more positive wave. So that is 3. Okay. So it is 3. So 1, it's not even 2. It is 2. Total is 2. So in the upward deflection. And it is -1 in the lower deflection. -1. So it is almost 0 here. Okay. So this is almost 0. Almost 0 you can take. Okay. So if this whole thing is almost 0, now you tell me what is going to be the axis. It's like this, somewhere like this. It is going to be physiological or pathological. It is here. Yeah, it will be physiological. Yes. Good. Now it is physiological axis deviation. So you should not agree whatever it is. You should say if I'm wrong, you should tell I'm wrong also. Okay. Fine. So this is physiological axis deviation. Okay. So there is some amount of LVH also that is there here. Okay. So that is why there is some amount of axis deviation here. Okay. So now you tell me for this. Yeah, I'll tell you. Yeah. Okay. Now you tell for this. Heart rate you calculate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 75. And let's see the answers. Let's see the answers. Yeah. Good. 75. Yes, good. Yeah, this is 75. So this is 75 beats per minute. Okay. And what is the axis here? So one is negative, AVF is positive. So both are seeming to come towards each other. So it is right axis deviation. Very good. So this is right axis deviation. Very good. I think most of you have got it. Yes. Good. Very good. Right axis deviation. Very good. Okay. There is one more peculiar point here. So can someone find this out here? See V1 to V6. Anything that is lost? Can you just think? R wave progression. Very good. Excellent. So there is poor R wave progression. If there is a poor R wave progression, think is there an old anterior wall MI. Okay. You can think of it. So that can be the cause of this right axis deviation. Okay. Fine. Yeah. So here we come to one more. Yeah. We'll see this. Heart rate axis. Yeah, poor R wave progression. Correct. Very good. Yeah. For this ECG, you tell me. What is the heart rate? Tell me the axis. Whatever we discussed, only that we'll see. Other things we'll see tomorrow. About 100 people here. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. Good. Heart rate is 75. Very good. Someone says it is an LED. Okay. Someone says it's a normal axis. Okay. Fine. Okay. Good. Most of you are correct. Almost everyone is correct. So see, so I agree with 75. Everyone is correct. The heart rate is 75. So your AV1 is positive. Okay. So when you come to AVF, that is the glitch here. So you see, AVF is 1, 2, 3. 3 boxes here. Okay, minus 3 here below. You take this is the baseline. This will be 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. So AVF is positive. So this will be plus 4 here. Plus 4. 1, 2, 3, yeah, 4. Okay. So plus 4 minus 3. This is plus 1. So if it is plus 1 and plus 1, so you get a normal axis. Okay. So everyone got it. Okay, this is a normal axis. Fine. For this, we'll see. Now you tell me what is this. Yeah, correct. Good. Let's see how you interpret this. I want the heart rate. Oh, sorry. Tell me the heart rate. Yeah, so most of you have got it correct. Okay, so this is 100. So this is an irregularly irregular rhythm. So if it is irregularly irregular, see, I'm not able to see the way RR interval is changing rapidly. So that's why I counted for 15 seconds. It is 3 for 3 seconds. So 15 large boxes I counted. So I got 5 QRS complexes. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I multiplied it by 20, I got 100. So this is the heart rate. Okay, so coming to the axis now. So AVF is positive. Everyone is clear. So if AVF is positive, either here or here. Okay. So then the thing is, you have to count this here properly. 1, 2, 3. I think this is plus 3. Okay. And here it is 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this is also 3. Okay, so this is minus 3. This is almost 0. So this is normal axis. Okay. But, yeah, this is normal axis, correct. Widening of QRS, this is ST elevation, this is an MI. Yeah, QRS is wide, yeah, this is an MI. Are you seeing here? Are you seeing here? There is an ST elevation like this. Then you see exactly opposite lead, there is ST depression. You see here, this also that is gone here. So there's a posterior wall involvement here. We'll come to this when we talk about MI. Okay, so this is a normal axis, fine. Yeah, so this, let's see. This, I think this is the last ECG I have. Okay, yeah, in 2 minutes we'll finish. Yeah. How to calculate number of boxes? Number of boxes are large boxes. Yeah. 300, 150. So this is 150. Okay, so this is 150. Okay, so once we have 150, we saw lead 1. Lead 1 is net is negative. Lead AVF net is positive. So 1 is negative. So 1 is negative here and here. AVF is positive. So either here. So it is here. So this is a right axis deviation. This is a right axis deviation. Very good, very good. Everyone has got it correct. So right axis deviation. Very good. So then the next thing is, are you seeing here peaked P waves? Okay. You're seeing peaked P waves. Then you're seeing here peaked P waves, both left atrial and right atrial enlargement, RA plus LA. Okay, along with that, you see this here. Okay, so there is maybe a RH, so RVH. Okay, so where can you get a condition like this? RA enlargement plus RV enlargement, RV enlargement plus LA enlargement. Very good, excellent. Mitral stenosis, very good, very good. So this is probably a mitral stenosis. You can make a diagnosis just based on the ECG. Okay, fine. And this is a chronic long-standing. So probably there are types of RVH also. So this indicates some good amount of pulmonary hypertension. Okay, fine. Why can't it be LVH? Oh, LA hypertrophy. The second part here, no, you see here this part. This also is deep. If it is more than 1 millimeter, we call it as LA enlargement. So here it is deep. So that's why I called it LA enlargement. RA, the first part here is peaked, no? In here also you see it is more than 2.5. Yeah. We'll come to that. Tomorrow is enlargement. I just gave an example, that's all. Okay. Someone told temporal association. Why there is no axis deviation? You don't know. Right axis deviation patient has. Yeah. Yeah, there may be this RSR. This is probably a pulmonary hypertension. So this is causing a little widening of the QRS. Yeah. Because of pulmonary hypertension, there will be RVH that is causing a little widening. Yeah, this is a P wave. Yeah, this is a P wave. This is a QRS. This is a slurring of the T wave. Yeah. This is a P wave. This whole thing is a P wave. Biphasic. Yeah. Someone asked me temporal association. Previous ECG. Yeah. Previous ECG is difficult to determine what is what. There's a lot of wavering in the baseline. PDA also. Yeah, it can be PDA also. But most commonly we'll have mitral stenosis. Okay. Fine. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Any other doubts we can discuss maybe in subsequent classes. Okay. Yeah. We'll send you guys the PPT. You can have the PPT. You can use it for revision. But one request is please practice this today itself. See some ECGs and understand this today itself. Okay.